Narcissists don't fall in love with you. They fall in love with your kindness, so they can use it against you. You think your kindness will protect you, that if you just love harder, try harder, stay patient, they'll finally change. But here's the brutal truth. Narcissists don't choose people like you by accident. They choose you because you're kind, because you give the benefit of the doubt, because you don't walk away easily. They don't fall for your beauty or your mind. They fall for your empathy, your willingness to carry the weight of the relationship on your back while they sit in silence, arms crossed, waiting for you to apologize for bleeding. It feels like love in the beginning. They mirror your dreams, your softness, your hope. You think you found someone who finally sees you. But what you don't realize yet is that they only saw your light so they could figure out how to dim it. And by the time you notice, you're already the one blaming yourself for everything they never owned. At first, it feels like fate, like two souls finally found each other after lifetimes of searching. They shower you with attention, mirror your values, say things like, "I've never met anyone like you. You're kind, generous, emotionally present." So of course, you want to believe it. You want to believe that someone finally sees your heart and holds it with care. But what they really saw was opportunity. They didn't fall in love with you. They fell in love with the way you love. They saw someone who apologizes even when they didn't do anything wrong. Someone who listens more than they speak. Someone who's always the first to forgive, even when they're hurting. To them, your kindness wasn't something to admire. It was something to exploit. So they leaned in. They played the victim, told you stories of how everyone else misunderstood them. You, with your bleeding heart, opened wider, offered more, gave more, and in doing so, you didn't realize you were stepping into a trap designed to collapse right on top of people like you. The shift is subtle. It doesn't happen all at once. One day, they just stop saying thank you. Another day, they forget to ask how you're doing. Then, they criticize something you thought was beautiful about yourself. A joke you made, a dream you shared, a boundary you tried to set. But because you're kind, you don't call it out. You excuse it. Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe I was too sensitive. You, the person who always shows up for others, now start shrinking yourself to keep the peace. And every time you ignore your own discomfort, they learn something. You'll bend to avoid conflict. You'll abandon yourself to keep them happy. And so they push further, one manipulation at a time, until you start questioning your own reality, until their needs become your only priority, until your inner voice, once so steady and compassionate, starts whispering things like, "Maybe this is all I deserve." This is how the cage is built, not with chains, but with your own willingness to give the benefit of the doubt. And by the time you realize you're trapped, you're the one holding the door shut from the inside. One day, something small breaks you. Maybe it's the way they roll their eyes when you open up. Maybe it's how they call you too emotional after a perfectly calm request. Maybe it's how they accuse you of being selfish after you've spent months putting them first. It's not the act itself, it's what it means. You finally see it. You were never loved for your light. You were selected for your silence. Because you don't yell. Because you don't walk out. Because you blame yourself before you blame them. That's the currency narcissists trade in compliance. Not love, not connection. They're not attracted to strength unless it serves them. They seek people who keep giving, even when nothing is returned. And here's the harshest truth of all. They never loved you. They loved how much of yourself you were willing to lose just to keep them comfortable. It's in that moment, the quiet one, when no one's watching, that your heart finally whispers the truth your mind has been avoiding. This isn't love. This is erasure. You cry alone, again, and it hits differently this time. It's not just sadness. It's grief for all the times you showed up and they didn't. For all the times you excused cruelty and called it love. For the version of you that kept hoping, kept forgiving, kept bleeding quietly so no one else would have to. But there's something else buried in that grief. A quiet rage. Not the kind that lashes out, but the kind that finally whispers, "No more." Because suddenly you realize you're not crazy. You're not dramatic. You're not hard to love. You were just trying to survive in a relationship, where only one person was ever allowed to matter. And now you're done apologizing for asking for basic respect. You're done shrinking to be less intense, less needy, less human. You're done trying to prove your worth to someone who never truly saw you. This isn't weakness. This is rebirth. And in that moment, raw, tired, aching, you finally see for what it is. You were never too much. They were simply never enough. Kindness is not consent to be harmed. Emotion. You gave your best self to someone who only wanted your softness, not your soul. You handed them your patience, your empathy, your late-night reassurances, hoping it would be enough to make them stay or finally love you right. But all it did was teach them how far you bend. And now, you're left wondering, was I too kind? Too naive? Too weak? Logic. But let's be clear, kindness is not a flaw. It's not a permission slip for someone to manipulate you. It doesn't mean you asked for it or should have known better. The problem was never your heart. The problem was giving it to someone who saw it as an opening to take more. Narrative. Somewhere in the silence that came after them, you began to rebuild. You stopped apologizing for having needs. You started unlearning the lie that love must be earned through suffering. You began to understand. Being good doesn't mean staying with someone who makes you feel bad. And slowly, painfully, you began turning your kindness inward for the first time. Breakthrough. Because here's what no one told you. Kind people aren't weak. They're dangerous once they learn to love themselves. You're not here to be used. You're here to be whole. And no narcissist can survive in the light of someone who finally sees their own worth. Thank you for watching. If you've ever given too much to the wrong person, you're not alone. Share your story in the comments. It might help someone else feel seen. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to support more content like this. Your voice matters. So does your healing.